So I just wanted to start at verse 25 in Genesis 25. I've covered this before, just to summarize verses 20 through 24, where Isaac, being at the age of 40, he prayed to the Heavenly Father that he and his wife will be able to conceive because she had trouble getting pregnant. She was a daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Paddan Aram, and the sister to Laban or Laban. She also had trouble in her womb when it comes to this anomalous event taking place where two nations was in her womb, where she inquired of the Lord about, this going on in her womb. She said, if it be so, why am I thus? Meaning, if I'm pregnant and you bless me with the ability to conceive, why is this pain going on in my stomach and my womb? And pretty much the Most High lets her know, two nations are in your womb, two different manner of people, two different characteristics of people. Two nations are in thy womb. They are different people. And it manifests itself when it comes to what we see in regards to the understanding of who we are and who they are, what personifies us and what personifies them. And also, when she inquired to the Lord through Abraham the prophet. Abraham the prophet gave her the understanding of what was going on in her womb through the Heavenly Father. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment. So he came out red and hairy. He came out with translucent skin. He had no melanin, no carbon. That's why his name was Esau. The term Esau goes back to the Hebrew Ishashua, which means wasted away is he. And that's twofold. That's prophetic because, when it comes to the kingdom, after that 1,000 years, there shall be no more. So it says, and they called his name Esau, wasted away. That's why they called him Esau, because he was wasted away. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. So Isaac was 60 years old. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. Remember, cunning hunter. We're going to go into that when it comes to certain depictions of Neanderthal man being a hunter. Said he was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in the tents. Jacob was laid back, cool. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, venison meaning deer. We're going to go into a certain image where it pretty much, it's like a underlying correlation, just for me. But Rebekah loved Jacob, and Jacob sought pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. Esau was hungry, and Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. What does that mean? Edom means red. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, behold, I am at a point to die. Oh yeah, I didn't go into the element of, the coming out first. Esau came out first, so therefore he was given a birthright, but it was already predestined for Jacob to get the birthright. Hence Israel. And Esau said, behold, I am at a point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? So Esau didn't care about the blessing. And Jacob said, swear to me this day, and he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob for meat because he was hungry. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. But I really wanted to go into certain elements that, contextualize the descriptive aspect. Because I already went into these aspects, when it comes to the birthright, when it comes to the prophetic element, especially in the book of Obadiah, where it just talks about how, they shall dwell in the cleft of the rocks, so on and so forth. I guess we'll go into Obadiah. Let's get that. We're going to go into Obadiah. And after that, we're going to get into, this excerpt from David McRitchie. in the book Ancient and Modern Britons. Volume 1 and 2, very, very great books. I think that's in volume 1 though, in that one. So I just wanted to go into the book of Obadiah, where pretty much is just one chapter going into the revelatory and prophetic aspects of Esau. And this definitely should resonate with certain people who, inquire and don't really understand, but, they have certain suspicions. So in the book of Obadiah, it says, "The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen." Ambassador meaning a ruler. An ambassador, someone who represents the heathen. Outside of Israel, that's where the heathen is. "Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen," meaning they make up the least percentage on the planet Earth when it comes to their population. That's already a fact. "Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee." The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, and going up, thou art greatly despised. Just like it tell you in Romans chapter 9 and 13, where it says, "For Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated." Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Pride cometh before destruction. "Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock." Going back to where? The caves. Caucasus Mountains. Caucasian. Going back to Russia. Russia is like one of the only countries that's like considered a transcontinental country where it crosses between Asia and Europe. I think it makes up like 75% of Asia and 25% of Europe. It's the biggest country in the world, Russia. So it's very important for us to understand context. The scriptures gives us great context, great resonance, just based off of the revelatory and prophetic aspects. Whose habitation is high. Habitation is a natural home for someone. They go back to the caves, the high mountains in Russia, Georgia, Russia, southern Russia. Or was it eastern? No, I think it was southern Russia, yeah. "That saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle." The emblem of America is the eagle. The symbol, the totemic symbol for America is the eagle. It's not just the eagle, but that's one of the symbols. And it's one of the prominent symbols. The eagle represents strength and power. "Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, though thou set thy nest among the stars," because they want to be the Most High. And it's not referencing Isaiah chapter 3, because that's going into the understanding of the tower, where pretty much, Nimrod wanted to encapsulate all the prophetic aspects of Yahushua HaMashiach. This is going into another aspect where pretty much based off of the rulership of Esau, he tries to offset the Most High, enacting his own laws and whatnot. Also other aspects of what he does that pretty much pollutes the earth. Very important for us to understand the resonance. Very important for us to take heed to it. So it's, something that I wanted to get into because of this excerpt. So let's get into this excerpt. "Stature, having the skin almost colorless and so delicate that the blood really shows through it." Going into that element where he came out red all over like in hairy garment. The translucency in his skin. The eyes are blue or gray. Recessive traits. The hair light, ranging from straw colored to red or chestnut. The beard and body hair abundant. And when it comes to certain depictions of what you see in the medieval times, this is what you get. As far as this description, you see certain images of the servants who were, pretty much like wild men, abundant body hair, reddish type hair. They were servants to, the kings and the rulers in Europe, so-called black rulership. I'm not saying so-called rulership, I'm saying so-called black. The skull presents all varieties of forms, from extreme, the leukocephaly, to extreme, brachycephaly. The leukocephaly is pretty much like when the skull is abnormally huge. And brachycephaly is when the skull is abnormally small. And then it just goes on to explain the element in which the so-called Caucasians, the fairer skin, they intermix, with the Aboriginal nations, so-called blacks, the Aboriginal Greeks, Irishmen, the Welsh. They intermix with those nations. And they would pretty much, form over time into a more cleaner look. And this is what you see now. But I really wanted to emphasize the element of the translucency in his skin as well as the abundant hair. He was hairy. So this is an illustration of ancient Neanderthal man who hunted a goat, a deer, venison. But the reason why I bring up goat is because it resonated with me just going back to Genesis 27, where Isaac, he pretty much was blind and he was old. So he needed his son to get him some food, to hunt him some food. Esau was known as a cunning hunter. So he wanted some venison, he wanted some deer. And Rebecca heard that, and based off of the name Jacob, which means supplanter, he had to act out what his name meant. And this was all based off of prophecy. This had to happen because Jacob was predestined to get the birthright. It was righteous deceit. So Jacob pretty much, he had fetched 2 kids of goats for Rebecca to make savory meat for Isaac. And she put the hairs of the goats on Jacob just so Isaac could think that Jacob was Esau, because Esau was hairy. Esau was hairy. Jacob was a smooth man, a black man. So this is how he was able to get the birthright from his father, thus Jacob being a supplanter. And this was all just based off of righteous deceit. It was the understanding of the Most High's blessing to Jacob, aka Israel. That's what it was about. But it's just crazy. You look at this image right here, man, it resonates. Also, when you think about hairy, the term hairy going back to Sha'ir, the satyr, aka devils, goats, goat hair, Sha'ir. And the satyr is like half man, half goat. When you look at the depiction of the satyr, aka Samael, is half man, half goat. This is where Uncle Sam comes from. That's why he got the goatee. It also represents the Baphomet, which is the goat deity, the goat god. It's so crazy, man, how all this stuff just intertwines. The hermaphroditic goat deity, the Baphomet. The offspring of that is Uncle Sam, Samael, half man, half goat, going back to Esau, Ishashua.
Okay, the children of the Most High don't give a fuck.